So I have to admit something. This was not the easiest sermon to write. In fact, I put off really working on it until yesterday, when it was too late to back out. It wasn't the idea of the soul that I found daunting. It was the prospect of finding evidence of the existence of the soul that really troubled me. To quote Wayne B. Arneson's sermon, Care of the Soul, the soul is a messy thing for Unitarian Universalists. You may be wondering why I was so keen on finding proof of the soul. Well, as a UU, I felt it important to affirm and promote at least a few of the sources of our faith in my sermon. For example, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder. Yep, got that one. Words and deeds of prophetic people. Well, Martin Luther and John Calvin, amongst many others, discussed the soul. Wisdom from the world's religions. Yep, got that one. Because really what's going on is that all these different religions believe in the soul. Jewish and Christian teachings, yep, I explored those as well. Humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science. Well, why else would an English major think about Newtonian physics, I ask you? Spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions. Yep, I even got that one. I also did a search for the word soul on the UUA website, and whew, I came up with a lot of hits. So I would contend that indeed discussing the soul falls under the auspices of Unitarian Universalism. But, there's always a but. If I found the idea of discussing the soul so difficult, then why did I decide to make it the topic of my sermon in the first place? Well, this service, as all my services do, began with a song. In this instance, it began with the song of the Soul, which I have been singing off and on for months now in the shower. It's a song I learned many years ago at a family camp held at Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. Coincidence? Who can say? I went with my friend Anne and her father and stepmother one summer in elementary school. We went for a week. We rode horses, we hiked, and we sang songs. One of the songs I learned there was Song of the Soul, our offertory song today. I fell immediately in love with it. I especially loved the first verse. Love of my life, I am crying. I am not dying, I am dancing, dancing along in the madness. There is no sadness, only a song of the soul. Now, I have long been fascinated by the soul. I was an oddly spiritual child for an unchurched girl brought up by atheists. I thought a lot about incarnation, about our life's energy being somehow recycled. When I was about 8 years old, I asked my mother, "Hi, Mom, what happens to you when you die?" I had been mulling over the question for some time, probably inspired by something I had overheard at school. "Well, nothing," she replied. "What do you mean?" I inquired further. "Your body decomposes. You're dead." At this point, I started to worry. "You mean you don't go up to heaven?" "There is no heaven," Mom said. She was very matter of fact. That was the end of the discussion. But not the end of my thinking about it. That night, I stayed up, unable to sleep, feet propped up on the wall, lying on my back, quietly sniffling, hoping fervently that for once my mom was wrong and that there was something after death. I hoped for angels. I hoped that cats really had 9 lives. I hoped that indeed when I was dead, I would not be eaten by worms. Well, by 8th grade, I had seen enough horror movies, plus the video for the Michael Jackson song Thriller, to know that indeed the worm thing was real. Yet that didn't stop my pondering about the soul. What was the soul? What happened to it when our bodies ceased to function? Was the soul the little gleam in people's eyes that sparkled when they laughed? I'm not the only one who has wondered about the soul, tried to quantify it. Many religions and philosophical schools of thought have grappled with the concept. According to Wikipedia, and as a librarian, I would like to say it is okay to look up something in Wikipedia on occasion. So, like I said, according to Wikipedia, the soul is, quote, the non-material essence of a person, which includes one's identity, personality, and memories, an immaterial aspect or essence of a living being that is believed to be able to survive physical death. It goes on to say that while the soul is something usually attributed to humans, that some believe that other living things, such as animals, have souls. Okay, then, that seems to be a pretty solid definition. But the article goes on to discuss how different denominations define the particulars of the soul. Can the soul die? Does it remain intact after the physical death of a being? Does it get condemned to hell to await resurrection? Does it reside in a particular part of the body? What aspects of human nature reside in the soul? Do rivers and lakes have souls? It even discusses the psychological, neurological, and, get this, cardiovascular theories of the soul. Yeah, I was impressed. So maybe it isn't so simple. People have discussed and argued about the nature of the soul for centuries, millennia. Some state that there is no scientific proof that the soul even exists. But I contend that people and animals, and yes, lakes, do possess souls. Of course, I couldn't find any contemporary physical proof of this. In my search for resources for this sermon, I came across the law of the conservation of energy. That is, that energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but it can change from one form to another. I stumbled upon an article written by Mary Roach on the weighing of souls using a scale to see, does the body get lighter when the soul departs? I found an online magazine article talking about the field of death physics, which questioned what happened to our energy when we die. And I saw a website dedicated to Arthur M. Young, developer of the Bell helicopter, who gave up mathematics for the philosophy of the soul. But I am neither philosopher, nor scientist, nor theologian enough to prove that souls exist. My theory is thus: the soul is like obscenity. I know it when I see it. Or, to quote Jeff Tweedy, the lead singer of the band Wilco, theologians, they don't know nothing about my soul. I'm no theologian, though, as we've established. So, what do I know about your souls? Absolutely nothing, my friends. But my soul, I know plenty about that. I know that upon smelling the scent of the jasmine for the first time each spring, that my soul heaves a sigh of delight, filling my chest with excited flutters. I know that my soul clenched with pain when I saw my old cat, Kitrin, look up at her favorite spot in the sun, and anything that resembled joy left her body through her eyes as she realized that she was too weak from the liver cancer to be able to get anything from it. And my soul hurt, realizing that that day would be her last day alive, because I could not let her go on suffering. I know that my soul was almost filled to the brim with tears of amazement when I looked into the faces of my newborn sons when they were first placed on my chest. And I know that my soul gives a little squee of glee upon tasting the first taste of something I enjoy and have been anticipating, like a slice of pizza or a sip of iced tea. Squee! Thank you. I know my soul. I know that it fills my body, that I can feel it in my heart, and my head, and my stomach, and my toes. But my question to you is this: how well do you know your soul? Do you sense it? Do you feel it? Do you listen to it? I bet you do. I bet that some of you listen to your soul when you hesitate to walk down a dark street or through an empty parking lot by yourself. Maybe you think it is instinct telling you to go another direction or to get your smartphone light out. But maybe it is your soul in a fit of desperation that is making your heart pound in your chest. I bet that some of you listen to your soul when a child on the playground walks in front of the swings and you gasp when they just barely miss getting kicked in the head by a playmate. Was that your parental instinct or your soul that made you quickly inhale in relief? I bet that some of you listen to your soul when you inadvertently touch the skin on the hand of someone you secretly admire. Was that the tingle that went down your spine? What was that? Was it anticipation or your soul? I bet that some of you listen to your soul when you see an oddly cat-shaped wisp slink past you in your hallway and your stomach seizes with a mixture of hope and resignation. Was that your mournful mind thinking it had seen a ghost? Or your soul realizing that the soul of your old beloved cat was paying you a visit? Thanks to a good friend who read this sermon last night for me, I've come to realize that I define the soul as the connection between our outside world and our most profound and purest sense of ourselves. Our souls enable us to feel and hear something deep within us that is responding to the world we are experiencing. Listening to your soul is, in my opinion, part of the living experience. Not just for humans, but for our planet. This means that the lakes brimming with fish and tadpoles and lily pads and the bunnies you see playing in the grass by your car at dusk have souls. Even the giant rocks surrounding the cabins at Ghost Ranch have souls. They echo with the soul of the earth and the souls of those who have come before. All these souls are in tune with one another. They listen to each other. Are you listening? Blessed be.